We live our lives by induction and inference because today is pretty much the same as yesterday, and the things that we recognize and deal with today is pretty much similar to what we've dealt with in the past. This is a great way to live our lives except for when it fails. This is when inductive reasoning and inference lead us to be overly infatuated with our ability to recognize unusual things. We get faked out all the time, whether it's office furniture and paper that brings down a state-of-the-art steel building in a uniform fashion, artificial grass, or a bug that looks like a leaf. We ignore the facts by accepting erroneous impulsive judgments and move on with our lives. In my book, people who impulsively judge are not qualified to be a ufologist, much less any type of scientist. We have to question things. When we are talking about paranormal activity, which includes everything from religion, parallel universes, neutrinos, to quantum mechanics, we have to scrutinize and gather the facts in order to gain understanding. Anything short of this is an uneducated opinion. People can make their own opinions, but they can't make their own facts. I say stick with the facts and science will be on your side. So I wanted to answer the question, if some of the things we see in our sky are biological mimics and they have somehow harnessed the ability of aerial magnetism, why are they so big? The Russians discovered plankton on the outside of the International Space Station. They call them microscopic space barnacles. Plankton comes in two types, photoplankton and zooplankton. Photoplankton are pretty much photosynthetic plants that can produce energy and oxygen, whereas zooplankton eat the tasty beasts. The morphology of plankton is incredibly diverse. Baby starfish would be considered zooplankton. They would eat photosynthetic plankton and grow until they drop to the seafloor. Here are a few examples of starfish which are called Pausanister. Potentially, animals began in our skies before raining down onto Earth. These creatures that we are capturing on video possibly either never left our skies or refused to head down to Earth or simply left the Earth for the skies. The dominant theory is survival. In order for a species to grow and replicate, it must survive. These creatures are uniquely tailored to their environment. Life evolves to suit its environment. When your predators are faster and stronger than you, you must evolve and adapt in order to survive. These creatures had to adapt to atmospheric conditions, which has less or no air, to most recently, conditions from below. The conditions I'm talking about are birds. There are many creatures out there trying to avoid being detected by birds, and atmospheric animals are no exception. Birds eat everything from insects to reptiles to fish to land mammals, everything. Birds are not only the fastest animals on Earth, but they have some of the best eyesight. Some predatory birds can detect a rodent from a mile away. Here is a video from Jose Hernandez, which was stabilized by Rob Friedman, of a bird snatching up one of these entities. What is interesting to me is that there is another bird trying to take this tasty treat away from its partner bird. This hits home to me because I saw the same thing happen with a thin, elongated, clearish blue thing that got snatched up by a sparrow. As it flew away, I saw in the distance another bird go after this bird with the elongated thing in its beak. They both flew to the ground, and I lost sight of them. I was so stunned, I didn't even think about video recording it. I'm still kicking myself for not recording it, so I'm very glad that Jose Hernandez was able to capture it. When we capture the unusual objects on tape, they are usually flying anywhere from 4,000 to 8,000 feet in the air. The higher and more difficult ones to capture remain high above the flight line of birds, but I've noticed the lower ones seem to mimic and camouflage themselves as normal aerial debris. I think they implement and utilize an evolutionary protective mechanism of survival. But don't think that even though they transform into a normal-looking object, the birds still don't ignore them. Here's a tape of one I captured in Sylmar, California in April 2016. This one seemed to want to transform into a number 2 balloon a couple of times and then gave up. As you will see in the pictures, after failing transformation, it looks like anything but a number 2 balloon. Maybe the threat of birds diminished. Maybe it didn't have to perform a metamorphosis, so it gave up. So back to the original question. Why are these creatures so huge as compared to their planktonic ancestors? I call it atmospheric gigantism. This is possibly due to Bergman's rule, which suggests that temperature influences gigantism. Like giant sea crabs and giant squid, larger animals have less surface area relative to volume, so they radiate less heat based on their mass and stay warmer in colder atmospheres. Or possibly due to Kepler's law, which states that massive animals generally have lower metabolic rates and therefore need less high-quality food to survive. Another theory I have is that gigantism may help organisms resist increased pressure in the upper atmospheres. In all reality, why do creatures that have the morphology of plankton get so big? I don't know. All I know is what I see. If some of these things we are watching are biological, it is life that we don't understand as of yet. There is still a lot to learn about our atmosphere and possibly atmospheric animals. Again, they might not be animals at all. Could this be some sort of nanotechnology put forth by aliens in order to observe us? Many things we captured on tape suggest this scenario. As our technology continues to improve and our access and equipment takes us to new heights, we'll be able to see, capture, and scrutinize more footage than we've ever had before. One thing for sure, these mysteries are not magic or supernatural. There is a scientific reason for this phenomenon we have not discovered yet. Please join us as we make future discoveries. Join LA UFO channel and please support my fellow ufologist friends. Please keep in mind that when we see UFOs, they are unidentified flying objects. This doesn't mean your classic flying saucers. It means they are unidentified. We are working toward identifying and understanding. Truth encourages education, critical thinking, and logic. Truth is worth investigating.